Hey guys, what's going on? It's me, Jay, again. Sad news to report today on the passing of a musical legend, a legend in the music business, Ace Frehley of the band KISS, has passed away at the age of 74 years old. Uh, yeah, KISS was one of the biggest bands of the 1970s. They came out uh, in the mid um in the mid 70s. uh, in the early 70s, sorry, 1973. uh, they were formed by Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, and one of the things that made them very interesting was their face paint, their special effects, their live shows. That kind of made them stand out. um, Ace himself was born in the Bronx. He's to a mother of Dutch descent and a father of German descent. The mother was originally from Pennsylvania, and the father was originally from North Carolina. They moved up to New York, and he was raised in Webster Avenue. In 1964, his family gifted him for Christmas a car. And from there, he would listen to Jimi Hendrix. He listened to all these other rock, stars and stuff. And he learned to play it by ear. He was never trained formally. He was never a trained musician, but he learned to play it by ear. And in 1971, he joined a rock band known as Molimo. But by 1973, like I said, they formed the band KISS. And the way they wanted to make themselves by having this face paint and having a lot of special effects. We had Gene Simmons, he was the demon. Peter Criss, he was the cat. Paul Stanley, he was the Starman. And Ace was the spaceman. Each of them had a different character. In 1974, they released their debut hit, and in 1975, they had their biggest song, "Alive." One of his biggest hits, "Alive." He wrote two songs on the original, uh, the debut album, both sung by Gene Simmons because he didn't have real faith in his vocals. But by 1978, he leaves KISS disbands and he does his solo project, and he swings the song "Back in the New York Groove," which was kind of a synthesis between rock music and disco music that was popular then in the late 70s. By the 1980s, the band stays together, but they get rid of the face paint. There's on on MTV where they have no makeup on, right? No makeup, and they look totally different, and people are shocked by how they actually look. And the band disbands, and he goes his own way for a while, after that. But by 1996, the band gets back together, and he stays in the band from 1996 to 2002, where he again, after 2002, goes his own way again. In 2014, he and the rest of the band got into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and he mentions, and in 2024, they released Shout It Out Loud, a biopic of the band on Netflix, produced by Gene Simmons. But one of the things that makes this band so unique was they were one of the first rock and roll bands to really take merchandising to a whole new level. because of their unique look, because of how they look, because of their face paint. Because of the fact that uh, that they had Paul Stanley as the Star Child, Gene Simmons as the Demon, Ace Frehley as Space Ace, Spaceman, and uh, and Peter Criss as the Catman. They had these different characters. They were able to merchandise in ways that other rock bands were not able to merchandise. And like I said, their live shows was just out of this world. I got into them when they got back together in 1996. Obviously, I wasn't alive in the 1970s when they were, their initial success. But I loved, I like to rock and roll all night. And the song on Bill and Ted Excellent Adventures soundtrack, God Made Rock and Roll for Us. And Gene Simmons, Gene Simmons was a character. I don't really agree with a lot of his politics. I know he's really conservative and shit, you know what I mean? But and he has a lot to say about rappers being inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame that I don't agree with. But even I will acknowledge that they helped move rock and roll to the next level. So he suffered a fall in September, and since then he was on life support, and finally the family took him off. So rest in peace to Ace. It's funny how I originally got this name. He got it because they said he was an ace at dating, so they called him the ace at dating. And when he walked in to meet with Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, he looked kind of disheveled. So they gave him the spaceman gimmick. And like I said, his special effects were cool. Kiss's live shows were out of this world. And for those of us that are wrestling fans, we all remember Del Tolberg. Kiss actually collaborated with WCW in the 1990s to have a Kiss wrestler played by Del Tolberg. And the idea for this Kiss wrestler was that the Kiss wrestler was going to main event a New Year's Eve special in 1999, marking the end of the millennium and the beginning of a new millennium. A pay-per-view by WCW that was going to be main evented by this Kiss wrestler. And obviously it fell through because the Kiss wrestler totally flopped. Like a lot of the other things post the NWO that WCW tried to do that was just a complete waste of money. But Gene Simmons put the entire Kiss name and Kiss apparatus brand behind this Kiss wrestler that was a total flop because the wrestler was a jabroni. But again, rest in peace to Ace, and condolences to his family. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.